States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Ted Demain.
Present.
Travis Irons.
Here.
Don Cabela.
Here.
Dean Gorman.
Here.
Tom Sinkowitz. Gary Stalaboy is absent, as well as Keith Shealy and Matt Raven. All right, next item, acceptance of the minutes from the April 7th, 2021 meeting. Minutes are distributed. Questions or comments?
I move the minutes be accepted as presented.
Okay, motion to second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Stay.
Abstention? Yep. Very good. Motion carries. All right, next item under new business. Meeting with the department heads to discuss fiscal year 2021-2022 budget proposal. So thank you for those of you who made it out this evening, representing the different departments. This is an opportunity for Board of Finance members who've come out tonight to certainly hear from you directly. They've had the opportunity now for a while to review the budget proposals and, of course, ask preliminary questions. That is one of the things that I did early on, is encourage them to certainly reach out to any of you and other departments that may not be here tonight. That way you could ask the questions ahead of time. But if anything's come up as of now, we'd like this opportunity for you to go through your budget, note to us any specifics as far as the increases, anything else pertinent that you see fit to the Board of Finance members, and then we'll give them the opportunity to ask questions or comments on the departments. So when I call your department, if you could please introduce yourselves, because we do have some who may not know you in the room, just so we know who you are, and we will go through the departments. Kevin, or I assume we'll go through it. You need to step in. So, all right, with that said, we will start with the one that we tend to do a lot of work with, which is finance.
Kelly Vachon, Finance Director. Our budget is comprised of Finance Director, myself, salary increase. I have two staff, full-time staff in that department, a bookkeeper and assistant finance director. Their increases are present there. The audit, we have an increase, potentially increasing the audit. It seems as if every year it's costing a little more money. So that you see an increase right there. Payroll Services, small increase, $1,500. Conference training remains the same. Computer software and computer, we have to pay for our annual subscription to AccountMate. That's our accounting software. And in there is 2 new computers for my 2 staff. And then the last item is supplies and expense, which remains the same. So the total increase is about $15,000. So I don't know if there's any specific questions you have, any of those items?
Anything from the members? No? Okay, thank you, Kelly. Next, assessor.
Mary Ellen Paul, assessor. We kept our budget pretty much the same. I'll go over the increases that you see. We have revaluation correspondence. We will be starting revaluation this year in fall. And that correspondence is to send letters to homeowners. You will also see revaluation for PRE, that is Plainfield Renewable Energy. That $10,000 is going towards appraisal costs to the power plant. That is the first half of the payment of $10,000. You'll see it again next year for the other $10,000. And of course, you're going to see the 4% increase for the salaries. So that is it for my budget. Any questions?
Okay, thank you. Tax collector?
Karen Vincent, tax collector. Everything kind of stayed the same. The only difference is my conference went up because the state of Connecticut is requiring us to have 50 hours, as you all know, because I sent it to you, of education. And me and Kelly did go over the supplies expense, so that actually should be negative 1130, just so you know. And then, of course, Kyle's budget is now with us, and I did give you all the QDS budget letters. And that's about it. Everything else stayed the same. Any questions?
Yeah, you're gonna have a tax sale this year?
I had one last Wednesday.
Pardon?
I had one last Wednesday.
You did?
Yep.
What
we
were the
took in-
results?
For this year, it went through 2 fiscal years, so,
Right.
because of COVID. So
Right.
the first fiscal, last year, we
Yeah.
took in like 179,000. This fiscal year, working right now, I took 114 at tax sale. And I'm working on another one, but again, it won't be for, it'll be next fiscal year, as long as we don't have nothing going on. And I think, Kelly, do you give them these copies of my percentage? Because right now, I'm at
I have it lately.
98%, which is good. That's what we're talking.
98%, right?
As of right, as today's date, yeah.
And you're right up to that, what you said. You're right at...
Right at 98% today.
Right now.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yep.
one point, here, you can clarify, the tax sale monies won't be available for 6-month period, is that correct?
Oh, no, I get the money right away.
Right away?
Yep.
So we've already,
I'll get the money probably by the end of the week. I haven't got it yet. They had to turn all monies over by Monday.
okay,
So, no, I get my money no matter what.
okay.
Yeah.
Am I correct, that money goes into the fund balance or the general fund?
I have no idea. That's Kelly's question.
Kelly?
I don't know where she puts it.
Love it.
It goes into the operating account, and then at the end of the year, whatever is over in revenue goes to the fund balance. So the net result goes to the fund balance, if we take in more money than what we budgeted.
Is that money going to be expended in her account?
No.
Should it go into the general fund?
Yes.
Anyway.
It goes in the, yes.
Okay.
Okay, moving on to town clerk. I don't think Barbie is not here, so Kevin, anything to note?
You'll notice, as you read through, the department head increases 3%. You have some salary increases of 4%. There is a small reduction for supplies and expenses. And then, of course, the total grand total is a 3% increase in that one area. I think it might be appropriate at this point to bring up something that I should have brought up when Kelly first spoke. You'll notice that some of the people that are listed in these lines are non-union people. So last year, they didn't get increases. So I just wanted to point that out, that obviously there's no way to catch that up, but they did get 0 last year, so I'm making sure that we at least have a minimum of 3% for those people for this year.
Okay. There's nothing for town clerk. Moving on to election registrar.
I'll speak again.
Yep.
Obviously, they're busy tonight. So there is, again, a 3% increase there for both the registrars and the election workers, and a small decrease in their supplies for a grand increase we're looking at of $1,473 or 2%. Nothing major to speak about there, really.
All right, moving on to buildings and grounds.
Ron Roberts. We have an increase of $6,000 for a part-time groundskeeper. Our full-time groundskeeper just cannot keep up with the amount of work that we have during the late spring, summer, and early fall. It's just too much, so it's part-time for 20 weeks. There's a decrease in electricity and water. That could be temporary because the pool has been closed for a year, so no one was taking showers. We weren't heating the pool, so I think that made a difference with that. Other than that, everything is pretty much the same. Supplies and expense went down a little bit. That's because where some of the money from there we've realized is more town hall expense, so it'll come out of that line item rather than my line item for supplies and expense. Other than that, that's it.
Any questions? All right, moving on to highway.
You guys are too fast.
Thank you.
My name is John Ravenel. I'm the crew chief for the highway department. My salary's on top, shows it is unchanged. 10 employees, because now Paul Chenille, or the mechanic with the police department, is coming into our budget because he's part of our union. So that's why you see the 100% added there. The overtime was increased by 11% because back in February, when we had all the snow, we ran a little short. We had to do a line item transfer. The supervisor overtime, which would be me, has been increased. It had to be put into the budget because I guess something to do with being the supervisor, it has to be separated. The mechanic tools dropped down 100 or 33%. Refuse and garbage stayed the same. Contract services went up 7,000. In the past, we've been running a little short on that line item, and rather than doing a line item transfer, it's just, we calculated approximately what the difference would be, and we increased it by $7,000. Utilities stayed the same. Sand and gravel went up 1%, or $469. The bituminous, which is asphalt, stayed the same. Motor oil stayed the same. Vehicle expenses stayed the same. Supplies and expenses went up 10%. I'm sorry, 1%. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I think you may have already answered me, but I want just to make sure I'm clear. The mechanic police department has been transferred to your fund. Does that mean he now works for you? You are a supervisor?
I believe that's incorrect.
Okay.
I think he still works for Mario, the police department. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mario?
Yeah, so in essence, he is part of the highway department's union. He works on all town vehicles, so he is a town-wide mechanic. He works on the town hall vehicles, he works on the rec department vehicles, and he works on the police department vehicles. We have more vehicles, and he has his office in the PD. But in essence, he is a highway worker for their union. Several years back, it was in that correct line item, and for some reason, it got moved back out again. But speaking with the first selectman, he wanted to make sure that the proper line items were in each department. So even though it does say police department, he's a town-wide mechanic. He works on all the smaller vehicles where Mr. Ravenel can explain that they have one that works on the big rigs, the bigger trucks. So Mr. Chenille, our mechanic that actually works on the PD, works on the regular vehicles, the vans, and the cruisers.
So he will not be asked to work on any of the highway department's vehicles?
No,
Thank you.
unless they need help with it.
I understand that.
Yep.
Any other questions for John?
Did we ever get you your computers, whatever? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yep, Kyle took care of that. I might say he did a very good job.
Thank you. Moving on to Fire Marshal.
So you'll see the adjustments that are in there. We've talked about this throughout the year. We had a retirement, and we felt it would be appropriate to work on hiring someone at a higher level so we can actually put a post out there and get applicants. So we have it at $60,000. The gentleman we actually hired him. He will be starting next week. You'll also notice the next line down, which is stipend for deputy fire marshal, and we'd like to be able to work on something where you're trying to help each other out. So if the fire marshal isn't there, you have the deputies. So far, I think this might be a very good idea to bring that in and be able to help out each part of the town. So deputy marshals is there for $10,000. There are no other changes at this time. That's why the grand total increase is $21,279, and that's why it's 37%.
Does he cover any other town?
They do mutual, and they help each other out for other towns, and they do a mutual to help each other. I know we have someone from Sterling, we have somebody from Griswold, and they help each other when they're on vacation, right?
But those towns have their own fire marshal.
Right.
This is just an assist like the police, assistant of the department. Thank you.
All right, next, Police Department.
Everybody got the packet pertaining to the budget. The one that I created should have a gold stripe on it. And, I can go through each individual one. I know it's a little bit thicker than a lot of the others. But if anyone wants to start with any questions first, or do you want me to just go right through it?
If there's no questions,
Okay. So the department head, which would be myself. First of all, Mario Mariaga, if I haven't met anybody, I'm your chief of police, just in case if I haven't met you. Department head just shows a 1% increase. The administrative assistant shows a 3% increase. You're going to see, actually, which is a typo, which I met with or talked with the first selectman already. Police salaries plus a captain, it says 17. We are 19 sworn police officers, which includes me. So I'm one, and it should be 18. Plus now his name is a deputy chief, or his title is a deputy chief rather than captain. So that technically should be 18. Now it is showing on the town of Plainfield proposed budget as a 0. But if you go to my budget, you'll actually see that there's an increase. Of approximately $68,000. And speaking with the first selectman, he has that contingency, and he can actually explain that a little bit better on why he put it in that location rather than the salary line item. Next is other salaries. This is dispatch salaries. And another typo, we actually have 3 full-time dispatchers. That's a day shift, an evening shift, and a night shift. We don't have 4 full-time, we have 3. And we do have approximately 6 part-time. That does fluctuate because it is a weekend and holiday job, so it does fluctuate, and it is a very difficult job. That shows a decrease, and the reason why it shows a decrease is because the mechanic actually came out of that line item. So it just shows that 23% decrease because it was moved over to the highway department.
Before I lose track of what's
Yes, sir.
going on here, on the dispatches, are we going to get tied in with the 9/11 boys up in East County?
Right, so that's a good question, and what we're doing is we're building our infrastructure up, and that included the jail cells, and then obviously our video surveillance. We have to make sure that our infrastructure would be capable of QV being able to monitor the PD as well. So I can't say that's going to happen overnight. It is a lengthy process, and with the new Police Accountability Act, there are certain stipulations we must not have to meet, which we didn't have to meet last year or the year before. So it is going to be more of a process because now we have to make sure that we meet all the demands of that Police Accountability Act.
But it is in fact in the works.
Yes, but nothing very soon in the near future. Overtime has stayed the same. The holiday shows an increase. That is the best guess judgment of holiday pay. It's contractual. Uniform allowance is also contractual, so there's a slight increase in that as well. Training, equipment, and exams. Training is obviously one of the biggest things for police officers. We have to make sure that everybody's trained. Years ago, it used to be free, and it seems like it just keeps doubling in price for training to make sure all our officers are certified, which they have to be recertified every 3 years. Sick day incentive is a contractual, it actually decreased because we did lose the chief retired who actually collected that time. We're no longer obviously collecting it, so it does show a decrease in that. Education, same exact thing, it shows a decrease because we have less people with the education. Building utilities, we kept it the same. We think we're actually doing well right now. Vehicle expenses, we kept the same as well.
All right,
Yes, sir.
back to the uniform allowance.
Yes.
Does that include the protective chest, whatever?
Yes, so we do have to replace them every 5 years, and we have them offset for police officers. Their initial hire, we give them a check so they can buy their own, but within that 5-year time frame, we have to buy them one. So yes, that does include that, but only so many, so a few of them. It's whatever's on the check sheet of when they expire. So not everybody expires the same, but you do expire in 5 years from that vest.
Do they have to wear them?
Yes, they must wear them in
That's
uniform.
mandatory?
Mandatory.
When did that happen?
10 years ago? Maybe longer, yeah, you must wear them. Anytime you take money from a grant as it relates to the body armor, they actually mandate you implement policy that you do mandate the officers to wear them. While on patrol, if they're out conducting special duty on the side of the road, directing traffic, they are not required to wear them, but if they have full uniform in patrol, they must wear them. Obviously, a detective would be exempt. But everybody does have an external one as well in the vehicle. Computer software and hardware, this is obviously a 100% increase. This normally came out of Mr. Collins' line item in his budget. According to the first selectman and meeting with him, he just wanted to position that into our department to show that we're spending on computers. In our supplies and expenses, shows a slight increase of 1,000 as well.
The computer area, it says here 22 desktop computers.
Yes.
How many offices do you have?
So that's a good question. So we have 19. So we have computers that are sole designed for certain things. For one, a fingerprint machine. The fingerprint machine has its own computer. That's designed only for using fingerprints. We can't use that for anything else. An interview room has a computer. That interview room has to stay in there. We have 2 interview rooms. They need to have a computer. We have a special investigations office. Those computers have to stay within that confines. We have a computer that utilizes special software for downloading forensic cell phones. Has to have its own set computers. So these are, it makes it sound like you're giving each police officer their computer, but in essence, the police officers work every day on 4 computers that they're writing their reports on. These are special designed for different scenarios, whether it's special investigations or interview or an admin computer or for accounting as well.
Plus dispatch.
In addition-
Plus dispatch. Dispatch has multiple computers.
This is in addition to the ones they have in the cruisers?
That's another 10 laptops, completely different.
So a total of 32?
Correct. Those are completely different computers, yes. Those are what we call mobile terminals.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions?
Just so I'm clear,
Yes, sir.
it does look like a significant change, but the lion's share of that is the computer budget being moved over.
Correct.
I mean, operationally, within this document, there's not a lot of upward movement of money.
No, not at all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions at all?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, building inspector.
Hi, my name is Richard Martell. I'm the building inspector. You can see the first line item is an increase of 22,000 because We tried to do the job as a part-time. It didn't work out whatsoever, so we had to do it full-time. That's where that line item came from. But then we have Kyle, and Kyle's actually in here also with his salary, but he's really not, his job is computer job, and he does very little on the building inspector part. He basically fills in when I can't be there. So why that whole amount was in my line item, I have no idea. And then vehicle expense is not much money because we have a fairly new vehicle, so it's easy, there's not much expense in that part. Let's see what else we have here. Computer software, we have to upgrade one of the computers in the office, so that's where that is. And then supplies and expenses basically changed a little bit because we have to buy code books this year. We're expecting to have to buy them because it's supposed to be a new code change in October. And if it does, we have to buy new books, which are, we have 9 different volumes, so that's what that amount is. So that's about it. And if anybody has any questions about that.
Do you cover any other town, like Canterbury or Sterling?
No. No, they have their own inspectors. Anything else?
Thank you.
No.
All right, cover 2 here, planning slash EDC.
Mary Ann Chinati, Town Planner. The Planning Department budget is only a slight increase. Department head salary has not changed. That contract is not finalized yet. Proposed is 3% increase for the assistant planner, ZEO, WEO, and the administrative assistant. No increase in the travel line item. Membership was up to $37, just basically to round it off from $1063 to $1100. Training and conferences remain the same. The mapping and the wide copier, I had initially proposed $1185 for that. I don't know why it was reduced by $685, but I would ask the board to please reconsider reinstating that money. To date, in this fiscal year, we've already spent $800 for the mapping machine between zoning updates and service and maintenance and supplies for that. So I would ask that it be brought back up to the $1185, and supplies and expense remain the same. For economic development, we now have a grant writer and economic development support person in Jordan Lumpkins. So his salary is there. The remaining items all were 0% increases from last fiscal year. So if there's any questions?
Yeah, on a department head salary, you say that's being negotiated now?
Yeah, that contract.
Do you anticipate, maybe the selectmen, do you anticipate that would be in next year's budget? You won't complete it this year?
Once again, that's in contingency. You have the supervisor's contract. You also, if you take a look at the police contract, we talked about that earlier, and a highway contract. Those 3 are all numbers that we put into the contingencies. That's why you'll see in contingency it went from 50,000 to, what was it, 117. I anticipate that all of those contracts will come to fruition during this coming year.
Thank you. Back to that 1185 you cut. Mr. Chairman, how does the Board of Finance reinstate that?
We
Is
can,
that something we do?
no, we can make that suggestion between both Kelly and Kevin. Of course, they've been working together to put together the budget. If the board would like to make that suggestion, you can make that adjustment. You guys remember, we have one more meeting after tonight. It's next Wednesday, and then we have to have a good idea by next Wednesday what we're planning on sending to town meeting or public hearing first. And then
So is this board taking an official stand now that we are recommending that be put back in?
how do the members feel?
Obviously, I'm in favor of it.
Yeah.
I mean, if this is something that's needed, right?
It is.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we're running short on it now, or
We could very well, I've only got a little over $393 left in that line item, and the end of the year is June 30th. And the machine needs maintenance now because it's not working. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thanks. Animal control.
Karen Stone, I'm the animal control officer. The salary line item for the part-time worker actually includes a part-time worker whose salary will increase with the minimum wage increase that's coming up. Also includes the person who covers for me during my time off, vacation, personal time. Let's see. The veterinary fees have skyrocketed, so we just put a couple $100 more in there. Hopefully that will cover it. We don't know year to year. Some years they're lower than others. It depends on what animals I get in and what type of illnesses they have. Supplies and expenses has gone up. That includes basically everything I have to buy. Any type of paper goods, any type of cleaning supplies, animal food, everything that's not included otherwise in here. And otherwise, it's basically the same.
Any questions? Thanks. All right, on to recreation.
Mark Simmons, Recreation Director. Starting with department head, just a 2% increase. And actually there is a typo, so it's full-time, not part-time. And then salaries for recreation is a 3% increase. That particular individual did not receive an increase last year, as they are not a part of the union. Then there was a 1% decrease in part-time staff. Daycare costs has remained at zero. A 100% decrease, or $5,106 decrease in transportation for summer recreation, and a 0% increase for the senior vehicle expenses, a 36% decrease for swimming pool and lifeguards, and $4,308 increase for utilities. That's largely due to just some more accurate reporting of the recreation building, but then also the pool. And then a 42% increase for supplies and expenses. Any questions?
Just a quick clarification. Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong, but the first line should be a $1,500 increase, not 2%, but 3%.
Should be 3%.
So that's, I think,
Yes. 3%.
Okay.
That'll be corrected.
Say that again?
On the very first line, it says department head. While it states here it's part-time, it's really full-time. If you go all the way to the right-hand side, you'll see there was a $55,000 salary line item for this current year. The increase should be $56,500 or a $1,500 increase, and it should say 3%.
And then overall, the department is actually negative 1% decrease.
Any questions, comments? Thanks. Computers.
Kyle Collins. The computer budget has been cut. It's down to about $39,000 now. And with that, I'm going to be covering the cost of the antivirus. We're switching over to Microsoft 365, so I'll be paying for that. We have 18 virtual machines, each one needs a license. Our Exchange server, that needs licensing also. We have VMware and then VMware, they're two different things, they sound the same, but they're not. One's for the virtual machines and one's so that I can get to all the machines remotely. And we also have a VPN that we pay for, so everybody can remote into the town hall from home. That's about it. Oh, and there's a computer in there for myself this year. Any questions?
Thanks. Library.
Mary Bridges, Aldridge Free Public Library. We have a small increase only because minimum wage will be going up and insurance costs.
Thank you. Kevin, anything to add for selectmen?
I might need to do an adjustment, I'll mention it now. I think what you're looking at again is that 3% for both first and other selectmen. The salary increase is also for the administrative assistant. We talked a while ago about putting that position into a union, but because of the confidentiality issues, we can't. So can't go into a union contract at this point. But we're looking at actually offsetting some of that. There's been many years which minimal increase there, so we're looking to bring it up competitive to what we have for other administrative assistants throughout the town and other towns. The rest of it is pretty static. And this is where I may need to make an adjustment. The request for the legal notices for 10,000, I think I overestimated how much I can drop down. It may be appropriate to bring that to 5,000. The rest of them, a year ago or so, we moved off meeting minutes to the boards and commissions area, and at this point, we're not looking for computers at this point for us, what we may do it next year. So that's why it's like rotating every couple of years, trying to get more on. And a small decrease in the supplies and expenses. At this point, it looks as is a 1%. Again, I'm looking for a possible adjustment to that one line item for legal notices to 5,000. But as it stands at this moment, it is a proposed budget for 146,436, an increase of 1420 and 1%.
Okay, any questions, comments from the members?
I have a question for Mario.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Back to that 911. I'm not sure, it seems to me that I heard something about this like 5 years ago.
Okay.
Is this something the police department are in favor of, or they don't want it? It seems to me it's taking too long a time. It's a very valuable piece of equipment they have up there to enhance us.
Yeah, that is correct. They are a valuable asset. There's no doubt about that. The problem is something like this can't be done overnight. And I don't know if it's been 5 years. I don't think it has been that long, sir. But it's not that we are not in favor of it, but there are laws that govern what we can and can't do. And with this new Police Accountability Act, it says that that building has to be maintained with a person inside at all times. So that defeated the purpose of being able to remotely watch our prisoners. We can't do that according to the new Public Act. So with that being said, it has to be put on hold because we don't know if that's going to change, if that law is going to fluctuate. But there are a lot of things that have to be in place. We are in need of a video surveillance system that we have not yet replaced, and that we're in the process of working with the First Selectman to replace our video surveillance. That has to be able to be remoted in. It's a large process. I've been dealing with the companies now to actually go through the building to make sure that we have 365-degree coverage in all aspects of the building. If we go remotely to QV, there will be times that that building will be empty, meaning that we will have officers on the road and not inside the building. So we have to make sure that we meet all the state mandates in order to do that. And it's not something that can be easily done. So there is still a lot of things that has to be worked with QV dispatch in order to make that happen.
Did not realize it was so complex.
There's a lot to it.
Ken, if you don't mind, I can add one more piece to that to help out.
Pardon?
If you don't mind, I'll help out with one more piece to that.
Sure.
In good faith, we've been negotiating with the dispatchers for a 3-year extension. So just in case this doesn't go through, we still have support. If this does go through, in whatever year it does do, we have to negotiate that as well. So there's a lot of moving parts to this, but we're trying to make sure that we're safe and we're following the state statutes.
Question for Travis, maybe you can help me out. Are there any other towns around here that have subscribed to it, or whatever you call it?
We serve 20 municipalities currently.
20?
20 different municipalities and about 47 different agencies. We do not yet do any police dispatch. So it's, I mean, and just to the chief's point, you know, that's a whole model that we would have to develop. Those aren't any operations that we currently do.
Okay, so that's something that you couldn't supply him even if he wanted it tomorrow?
Not tomorrow,
well,
probably in 6 months.
Okay.
But
okay.
we would have to develop a whole new mode of operations to handle law enforcement dispatch.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. But a lot of it, you know, again, just to reinforce what he said, you know, they have to get the police department to a point where all we have to do is plug into it.
Right.
And then the building on the whole hasn't been like that for quite a while. So he's really playing some catch up now.
Is that something Kyle helps you out with?
Yeah, so in the last 9 years, we went from running off one computer to a complete server system. And that actually now we're starting to finally function. The problem is now we're getting to the point where we're outdated and we need upgrades. But yes, Kyle and I, we do most of the work at the department. And for whatever that is too above us, we have to subcontract.
Very enlightening, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, did we miss anything? Don't believe so. No? Okay, so we are done as far as going through the departments. Just one note that I'll make, again, regarding next week's meeting is that because this is a special meeting, I cannot change this agenda, but we were not set to act on anything tonight, so we cannot do any formal voting. But next meeting, however, there will be an opportunity to make a motion. So one of the things we can do is, of course, if we have any specifics that we want to see adjusted, we can note that and make a motion for it at the next meeting. So,
Now, one little thing,
yeah.
who does Becky work for, Kelly?
Sewer authority.
WPCN.
She's
WPCN. She's part of the WPCN.
Her salary is WPCA, whatever?
WPCN.
But she does work for the building inspector too?
She does some work for me also.
Yeah, and finance.
She's all over the place.
She wears a lot of hats.
How about for the finance department?
Yeah, she
Yes.
gets $2 an hour is for her finance department.
Okay, any other questions or comments from the members? No? All right. Moving on to citizen participation. Again, noting that this is a special meeting, any participation needs to pertain to what was discussed tonight on the agenda. So I open the floor.
I got a couple of questions. Art Gagney, and Debbie, pertain to you. Okay, I'll even do this for you. You like that? I was wondering, protocol. Protocol.
Protocol Networks.
Yes. What services do they provide for Plainfield?
They're like the brain surgeons of all the
I'm sorry, I
computers.
didn't hear that question.
Protocol is a service.
Protocol Networks, they're a company that we use for the stuff that is beyond what I know. I'm like the general practitioner, and they're the brain surgeons, okay? They'll do like programming in the exchange and things like that. we use them quite a bit, and they're actually very good to us. I get a lot of invoices from them that they just stamp paid. So they do a lot of work for us and the
Police, yeah.
police department.
It's technical support.
Right,
Okay.
and they've helped me with just doing remote stuff over at the highway garage, with animal control, the fuel stuff, the highway gate, WPCA, different things that we do there. So they help us out quite a bit.
And the second question, out of your computer budget, can you tell me percentage for software, percentage for hardware, and percentage for technical support?
Not
Or you
off the
could
top
get back
of
to
my
me?
head.
Get back to me on
I
that?
can get back to you on that, sure.
Okay, that was my only questions then.
Okay, any other questions?
Sean Peterson. I was curious about the legal adjustments to legal fees. What was causing all that?
Page number 7, I think it is. Page 6. On page 6, you'll note that the legal fees went from $95,000 to $130,000 as proposed. We have some outstanding lawsuits that are pending at this point, and I don't anticipate that going away. So that one individual right now is $20,000 for that one individual. So I think it'd be prudent for us not to drop it down too much from there, but I know this is probably a good number at this point.
Did that also take into consideration, Kevin, the drop going from the previous law firm to the new firm? Because I know there was a decrease in that cost.
Yeah, there was a decrease, and I would love to have stayed at that point. Matter of fact, I think this year we're going to come right about the 95. But we have a couple of other issues as well. We have, I mean, I shouldn't be too public with this, but we do have some issues that we need to attend to for legal. Yeah, I mean, as it's going right now, it's trending higher, unfortunately, because of what's happening.
One more question.
Yep.
Does the Board of Finance oversee or look at the Water Pollution Control Authority at all? Do you know me?
We don't, as far as the vote.
No, not the Board of Finance, no.
All right, thank you.
But it's, just for clarification, if somebody has a question specifically about WPCA, they can contact you, Kelly, obviously you can clarify anything on that budget.
Yes, or the first selectman. The Board of Selectmen make up WPCA, the board.
Yeah, but it's still a town group, correct?
Correct.
So they shouldn't be reporting to the Board of Finance?
They report to the board, WPCA.
The Board of
board,
Selectmen
what they
make
call
up
it.
the WPCA.
Correct, but it's still a department of the town, correct?
They are
It
one
is-
of,
But it's handled separately.
it's handled in a separate format.
It's a separate budget.
And I'm sure as most people in this room know, you also have the meetings, the WPCA
Oh, I'm
meetings,
aware of
that
that.
are usually
I was
immediately
just-
following the selectmen's meeting, so.
I was just curious who besides the selectmen oversaw that department?
And, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, I know I get clarification from this board as to how they'd like to make the modification for the planning mapper. I would ask the same thing, can I get clarification from the board for an increase to $5,000 for that line item, which I spoke of earlier, which is the unlegal
Yeah, I mentioned that.
yeah, because I can make that adjustment so that we meet the next time, it'll be in there.
Mark. And the Mark's adjustment of 3%.
Right. Yeah, if we could, I mean, here's what my thought is. The other thing is all these errors on here, like full-time, part-time, and things like that. Yeah, if we could, have that, I think I'll clean it up, obviously, for next week's meeting. How do the other members feel as far as some of those notes that were made tonight with adjustments? Yeah. Sean, you all set?
Good.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay, motion second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.